was hard work for him. You were concerned about him in that role at half-time. What happened in the second half, then, Owen, that was different?
Well, I thought the subs made a huge difference. I thought Poveda and Rodrigo came on and had a huge impact. He's in the middle of the park almost on his own. It's quite remarkable, really. They play 4-1, 4-1, and he's in there basically. He's got a huge part of the pitch to cover. But because they get the ball up the pitch quite quick, then once they get it up the pitch, the cavalry comes on they out, and they had so many opportunities in that second half. And City didn't play like City normally do and dominate the game. Leeds had more of the ball, and Leeds had more of the ball against Liverpool at Anfield. They're a handful to play against.
What they do very well is that they say to those 5 forward players, go and do your stuff, and they basically left Phillips on his own with the 3 or 4 defenders and said, well, once we lose the ball, it's up to you. And they're so open. I mean, they're going to score goals this season, no doubt about that, Leeds, but I tell you what, they're going to concede a lot of goals also. For the viewers like us, for the neutral, they're going to be brilliant to watch because it's such a unique and different way of playing that the manager encourages them to do and just says, go and do your stuff in the final third. And basically, we've got the 3 or 4 defenders and Phillips to sit in there when we lose the ball. We'll rely on them to try and get us out of the mire at times. And it's risky football, but it works for them because they're so fit as well, which they have to be because they have to get all over the park, and the run and the do is incredible.
Edison had an interesting night, didn't he? He made most saves in a Manchester City shirt. But for the equaliser, he was certainly at fault. And before that, they just rattled the crossbar, Leeds United.
Yeah, they rattled the crossbar one-on-one there. Good defending from their new £60-odd million man. He gets a foot to it.
Definitely a corner?
Yeah, definitely a corner, I think. And the corner comes in and Edison makes a mess of it. He comes, when the keeper comes, he's got to do better than that. They say goalkeepers get judged on their mistakes, and unfortunately that's cost his team tonight. Having said that, he has made 4 or 5 magnificent saves to keep Manchester City in the game.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Edison, they probably would have lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's difficult. He doesn't really see the ball. He tries to jump and punch it just to make a mistake. And when it's wet like that, first of all, the ball from Phillips is perfect. Yeah. He's brilliant on set pieces. But look, he's allowed to make a mistake. The problem is, if he starts making mistakes, because we saw Kyle make one, we saw Mendy make a few again today. 2 centre-backs were quite steady, actually. But I thought the only player that really played like his normal performance was Edison and Raheem Sterling. The rest of the Man City players, they didn't have that level that we've seen from them.
And they weren't just standard saves either, were they?
Well, the one that he saved onto the bar was incredible. He managed to get, I think it was his left hand to it that sort of pushed it onto the bar. He sees it late, does Rodrigo, and he just manages to get his head to it. But that is a top save, that is, to push it onto the bar. But Mendy's got to get tight. That cross comes in far too easy. There's no effort from Mendy to try and stop that cross. He basically says to the attacking player, I'm going to let you cross it, because he stands 5 or 6 yards off him. The cross comes in far too easy, and that's how they're going to concede goals. That will cost Manchester City, because that cross is far too easy.
And that was the end of his night, wasn't it?
That was it.
He got hooked basically after that. And the problem is, I think, for Pep, he's given Mendy so many chances, but defensively, I think he's just a worry. You can spend all the money on the centre-backs, but...
Well, he made the mistake also in the first half, at the end of the first half, where Edison had that one-on-one as well, where he managed to save it. So there's that error. He's got to get tighter. He's got to have more effort to try and stop that cross and the ball coming in. He didn't. He just said, oh, go on, cross it in and hope that the defenders will deal with it. You can't defend like that.
No. You said the substitutes made a difference. What did Leeds do differently in the second half, perhaps, than they didn't do in the first?
Well, I thought for the first 20 minutes, Al made the point, they showed Man City too much respect, and then they started to play their game. And, they flooded forward, they kept the ball better, a bit more urgency, and a bit more belief. And, when they get in here and they transition, everybody's joining in. A bit more confidence, great link-up play.
That's what I think they did better in the second half, is that they moved the ball a lot quicker than they did in the first. We saw Phillips get caught on the ball in the first half too many times, giving possession away. But the second half, I think, was key, is that when the goalkeeper got the ball and the defenders got the ball, it was pass, move, someone else is moving, more space, there again, same thing, 1 and 2 touch. And that's how you're going to cause Man City problems. You're eventually given offside for that, but that's how they got into better positions, because they moved the ball a lot quicker.
And what belief will that man and his players take from that result? They've just won 2 back-to-back coming into this, but to do that to Manchester City today?
Look, they had more possession than Liverpool at Anfield. You know, they did it again today against 2 of the best teams we have. I mean, that's remarkable for a promoted team to be able to be that brave is remarkable. And Al's right. They play different. You know, they're going to surprise a lot of people, and that's probably why they've conceded a ton of goals, because, you know, at times there isn't enough people back.
Do you know what, at times also, we just highlighted how good they were, the 1, 2, 3 touch passing and getting people on the ball. The second half, they're not afraid also to knock it long, to say, OK, we're going to get that ball up and then we'll press you and we'll squeeze you from there. And then they nick the ball and cause problems that way also.
Let's just clear up late on, Raheem Sterling. Was this a penalty in any way, shape or form?
I didn't think. I thought the referee got it absolutely right. Tiny bit of contact, but I don't think there was enough for him to go down there.
No, I think Raheem probably needed a bit of support today. He was trying on his own. I mean, that would have been soft, but he played well, Raheem, but just didn't have that support from Phil Foden and Mahrez and Torres. So they were quite blunt, really, offensively, City.
Yeah.
So the 2 managers still to come. Be very interesting to see what Pep Guardiola's got to say to intense managers.
I love that. Bielsa probably, the first 20 minutes, he was probably really unhappy with the way that Leeds played, but I thought the last 70 minutes they were terrific. And to be fair, they throw so much at you. Even Pep's great teams, they struggled to cope at times today. And really, Leeds could have won the game, could have easily won the game. City didn't have a shot on target after they scored that goal. So, you know, really, Leeds were the one playing, trying to win the game.
No, I thought it was Leeds gave a great account of themselves again this season. We were expecting big things from them because of who the manager is, because of his style of play, the way he wants his players to express themselves. We got a glimpse of that against Liverpool, where they went to Anfield and played with no fear whatsoever, and as if they said, we don't care who you are, we don't care whether you've just won the league or not. We are Leeds United, we are going to come and have a go, and we're going to give everything. And they did that, and they've done it in all of the games that they've played this season. Yes, they showed City respect, but then after 30 or 35 minutes, they grew into the game. I think they were a little bit overawed in that first half an hour, but then they come back into the game, and I thought they were the better team in the second half. The changes worked. Owen said that, and as the man of the match was Ederson, Manchester City goalkeeper. That tells you the story.
We're only 3 games in, but they only have 4 points out of 9. And you go back to the second half of the Wolves game, they won. Wolves had 4 very good chances. And what you've seen last week against Leicester and today, where are City at? I know there's 5 players out that Pep was talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, they're a completely different side when Sergio Aguero's in there and they desperately need him, and Gabriel Jesus. But I don't know. I think for Pep, he's still worried about that left back. He's not sure who's going to play there. Mendy just failed that audition. I don't think he's going to play for a little bit. Then you think about David Silva's gone all of a sudden. You know, his calming presence on a game. They didn't dominate possession like they normally do. So I think he'll be a bit worried because Liverpool aren't going to drop many points. And that looks a long way off that unbelievable team that he had a couple of years ago. So few worries after 3 games already.
Yeah, without doubt. When you look at how Liverpool have started and where Manchester City are, Liverpool are far more advanced than Man City. I know you're going to miss Aguero, you're going to miss Jesus, there's no doubt about it, because if you took Salah and Mane out of Liverpool's team, then they wouldn't be as sharp as well. So I get that and understand that, but there's still questions to be answered defensively.
Absolutely. Well, we've mentioned how Leeds are going to entertain us this season. We've also mentioned how they play. They've run 6.5 kilometres more than Manchester City again today. Over a 38-game Premier League season. Are you interested to see how they can sustain that?
I am, because that is incredibly hard work for any player, and in particular in a season where the games are coming thick and fast and you're not getting as much break in between the games as you would normally get anyway. So to do that in such a condensed period, I think is going to be I think it'll be almost impossible for them to keep that amount of pace up and that running ability every single game. It's going to be so difficult for them when they're a dozen 16 games in.
Would have been no problem for this natural athlete in his heyday, eh?
It would have been fun to play in that team, but it's intense. I mean, incredibly intense. Rodri, at one point in the game, and imagine they ran 7K less, he had his hands on his knees. He was knackered because there were so many transitions all the time that you just...
Does that mean he was tired?
Yeah. He was just... I mean, so I think for Leeds, I think because they train so hard, they're used to it. But you saw, even against Liverpool, they surprised teams the way that they played just because they're so full on, and that intensity it's unique. I mean, they're great to watch, but I'm with Al. I'm curious to see if they can do it for a full season.
OK, well, they've done well again today.